Good day, dear students. Hope you all are doing well and having happy time with your family and friends. I am Mrs. St.John from St. John's High School. Today we will read the story of a mole and his new friend from Oxford Reading Circle, Book 5, 2nd edition, page 9 to 12. I will read and explain this lesson to you. But before starting this lesson, I would like to read these words with their meanings in English so your vocabulary could be increased. First word is broom, which means brush for cleaning house. Next word is weary, that means physically and mentally tired. Spring cleaning, the thorough cleaning of a house. Penetrating, strong enough to enter or spread through something. Bolted, moved suddenly and quickly. Meadow, green grassy land. Privilege, an advantage. Caressed, touch lovingly. Chaffing, teasing. Jeeringly, laughing at someone in a rude manner. Mingered, wandered along a windy path. Rambled, moved aimlessly. Bewitched, fell over. Entranced, filled with wonder and delight. Trots, slow pace of running. Hope you will read and pronounce these words and understand their meanings while reading this lesson. Before starting, we should know about the author of this story. Students, this story is written by Kenneth Grahame, who was born in Scotland in 1859 till 1932. Grahame's most famous book is Wind in the Willows, which he had written in 1908, from which this extract is taken. You can read the whole book, Wind in the Willows, if you can. It is really an interesting story. Okay, students. Now let's start our story. The name of the story is The Riverbank, as it is understood by its name that this is a story regarding side of the river. So now I'm going to read paragraph number 1 and then I'll explain that paragraph. So listen carefully, word by word. The mole had been working very hard all the morning, spring cleaning his little home, first with brooms, then with dusters, then on ladders and steps and chairs, with a brush and a pail of whitewash, till he had dust in his throat and eyes, and splashes of whitewash all over his black fur, and an aching back and weary arms. Spring was moving in the air above and in the earth below and around him, penetrating even his dark and lowly little house. He suddenly flung down his brush on the floor, sad, bother, and oh blow, and also hang spring cleaning, and bolted out of the house without even waiting to put on his coat. Something up above was calling him, and he made for the steep little tunnel. He scrubbed and scratched and scrabbled and scrooged, and then he scrooged again and scrabbled and scratched and scrapped, working busily with his little paws and muttering to himself, up we go, till at last, pop, his snout came out into the sunlight, and he found himself rolling in the warm grass of a great meadow. Now I'm going to explain this paragraph, students. This is a story of a mole. It's a kind of a rat's family. He was cleaning his home one morning with brooms, dusters, and ladders. He was cleaning his house and whitewashing it thoroughly. He was so busy till he had dust in his throat and eyes, and he was itching. He had a pain in his back and was so tired. At the same time, cool breeze entered or came into his dark and small house. So he suddenly threw his brush and came out of his tunnel home as someone is calling him. He came up above the surface, where he saw sunlight and cool breeze welcomes him. I hope you understand this paragraph, students. Now we'll move to the next paragraph. This is fine, he said to himself. This is better than whitewashing. The sunshine struck hot on his fur. Soft breezes caressed his heated brow, jumping off all his 4 legs at once. In the joy of living and the delight of spring without its cleaning, he pursued his way across the meadow till he reached the hedge on the further side. Its explanation. After coming out of the hole, the mole said to himself, this is better than whitewashing. This is better than cleaning home. He liked sunshine and soft breezes in the air. He was so delighted coming out of his dark and lowly house. He was living in a joy. He started crossing the meadow's other side, and he was in a great hurry. Third paragraph. Hold up, said an elderly rabbit at the gap. 6 pence for the privilege of passing by the private road. He was bowled over in an instant by the impatient mole, who trotted along the side of the hedge, shuffling the other rabbits as they peeped hurriedly from their holes to see what the row was about. Onion sauce, he remarked jeeringly, and was gone before they could think of a thoroughly satisfactory reply. Then they all started grumbling at each other. How stupid you are! Why didn't you tell him? Well, why didn't you say? You might have reminded him. And so on, in the usual way. But, of course, it was then much too late, as is always the case. Okay, students. After coming from his hole, he was started crossing the meadow. There were standing some rabbits, and one of them was asking for some money to pass through that path. Other rabbits were teasing him because Mole was not listening to that rabbit. Then there were laughing and mocking on others. The other rabbits were really angry with that one rabbit because Mole was going very hurriedly. Fourth paragraph. It all seemed too good to be true, hither and thither. Through the meadows he rambled busily, along the hedgerows, finding everywhere birds building, flowers budding, leaves thrusting, everything happy. When the rabbits were angry with Mole, but the Mole was passing the meadow very happily, and he was keep going through the meadow. He was moving aimlessly here and there. He wanted to cross the meadow and saw everything happy there, because his inn was happy. So everything he was looking, it seems happy there. Fifth paragraph. He thought his happiness was complete when, as he meandered aimlessly along, suddenly he stood by the edge of a full-fed river. Never in his life had he seen a river before. All was glints and gleams and sparkles, rustle and swirl, chatter and bubble. The Mole was bewitched, entranced, fascinated by the side of the river. He trotted as one trots, and when tired at last, he sat on the bank. When the Mole was happy and everything was looking happy to him, and when he was crossing the meadow, suddenly he came by the edge of the river. He never saw a river in his life before. He was very much amazed to see the flowing water and keep looking at it. Due to sunlight, water surface was shining. The cool breezes were coming because of water. The Mole was staring at it like he was in some spell over. He was really in a state of spell. He was filled with wonder and delight. He started running slowly by the side of the river, here and there, and when tired, he sat down there and kept looking at the river. So, students, this was the end of part 1. The story we will continue in the next lesson, next part. We will continue again the next part. Till then, you have to read this story till page number 11 yourself at your home and find the characters of this story till page 9 till 11, that how many characters we have found in this part of this lesson. And you have to read, pronounce and learn the meanings of those words which we have read first in the lesson. Alright. What is your home task? What do you have to do? You have to find out the answer of this question and write it in your paper. Question is, describe how rabbits reacted when the Mole passed by the private road. Describe how rabbits reacted when the Mole was passing by the private road. You have to find the answer of this question from the read part which we have read from the lesson, and you will write this answer on the piece of paper or foolscap sheet. Then you will punch it in the file and submit in the school office with your name and class written on it. That's all for the day. Thank you, students. Stay safe, stay healthy.